Hello, students. We have a little bit of lag when the recording starts. So this is part one, the help video for part one of your group project for B2B digital marketing. And so you got to hire some people. You got to hire 10 salespeople, 10 reps. These are big time jobs. I mean, these people make good money, but they are expected to work hard. They're supposed to be, like a lot of you noted, they're kind of lone wolf. They're outside. They've got their own territories. They don't live, they live where their territory is. They don't live at headquarters. You don't even see them at headquarters that often. They're out working. That's what you want. You want them out in the field working, calling on customers. So the first thing, you got to work a little bit on who's going to do the interviewing. So I said we've got to have at least 2 rounds of interviews, and there's some benefit to having like different people look at them in different rounds, and you wouldn't want the same person conduct both rounds, or at least you would want to get some more input. So you think about who's going to do the interviewing in the first round, and then who's going to do the interviewing. And I would assume you would want Joe or somebody like that, Joe and a couple other people of his kind of caliber to do the second interviews. So it's more a matter of picking, how you want that first interview to be conducted. Do you want to try to find the people at the first interview, and then the second interview is just check and see if we made a mistake, or is it a matter of we're going to hire 10, we want to get 25 through the first interview and call from there, and we want to pick like 11 or 12, and then see how we can fit that, or just pick 10 and go through and bring them in, because there's an expense involved, of course, in all this and everything, but it's way more expensive to make a mistake. And we talked about that. The cost of making a mistake is so huge that it pays you to do it correctly, even though it may seem tedious, cumbersome, expensive in terms of time, that the time of the people that work for the company and their resources and things like that. It's way more expensive to mess up than it is to do it right, even if it's not as efficient from a money standpoint as it, say, could be. Doing it right is more important. Getting the right person, getting the right people in there is way more important. So think about that. Now, we talked about, what traits do you want the salesperson to have? And I actually, this doesn't, this is the way I teach it to the undergraduates. I actually focus on, okay, what, and it doesn't have to be just sales, because in the undergraduate course, we're talking about like retail salespeople and other things as well. So, and other jobs as well, other lower level jobs, as opposed to strictly this kind of high-end B2B sales rep job. So one of the things, the technical knowledge, the product knowledge, some outdoors knowledge is going to be huge. You want to see that, but you also have to determine, what level of that can we teach the product knowledge. And I talked to you, told you Eastman's gone back and forth on this several times. They're not sure whether to hire somebody with a ton of the technical knowledge and train them the personal skills. They've actually had better luck taking some people that don't necessarily have a ton. They have some background in, chemistry and that kind of thing, but not a ton of experience, technical experience or technical knowledge, but they have this proven skill in relating to people. They've got the communication skills down, part of the job down, and then training the technical. So you have to think about, that. But there's certain traits definitely, like we talked about, this is relationship marketing. You're dealing with customers on a long-term basis. One of the companies has had, BGDR as their rep for 46 years, Daiwa, the Japanese fishing reel manufacturer. All those years they've been reps for them. So you don't want people that are dishonest or that are shady, slimy. You want people that will work hard because they're out, they're on their own. So you've got to spot laziness, sloth, laziness. What are the things you're going to do to spot that and to keep them from getting the job? And they're not going to tell you that they're going to come in dressed in a blue suit to the max. It's an issue of, like, say there's a little spot of dirt on their collar, is that an indication of sloth, or is it, because they're not going to go out calling customers in suits in this business. That, it's not how they do it. They, will be dressed like the people that they're calling on. And so how important is that? Is that, obviously if they come in, they're slovenly, their dress is very slovenly, that's a bad sign. But you need a work ethic. Where is the proof of the work ethic? And what are you going to do? And, I give you a hint, look at their school transcripts. That's an indication. Like, there's a lot of companies out there that they won't hire people with below a certain GPA, and they're going to look at that because that's an indication, high GPA is an indication of the fact that they've got a good work ethic. Whatever it is that you need, you have questions or you have ways of looking at that person and determining whether they have this positive trait. They're not, dishonest, lazy, slow, maladaptive, excessively introverted. You want, people with the poor listeners. You don't want people that are poor listeners. So they're not going to tell you they're a poor listener. They're not going to tell you they're dishonest. They're not going to tell you they're lazy. You got to have questions. For example, we obviously want people to have a good attitude and are easy to get along with people because the companies they call on, a lot of those people, if somebody goes in there and they've got the ego and the drive and all that, but they irritate people to death, they're not going to be good sales reps because the customers are not going to want to see them. They're going to no, I don't need to see you, or they're going to go hide in the back room, whenever you come and tell them they're too busy and so you got to be somebody that can get your foot in the door, talk to somebody, be likable, be accepted by the people that the Dan Mahoney's of the world, people that you're calling on, be accepted by them. So think about the questions you would have, and I told you, you don't have to have the whole interview, 2 interviews, both of them scripted all the way out, but I would like some elements of scriptedness, certain stock questions that are used to make a determination this way or that way. And also, you want to know what answer that they give. What type of answer indicates is the answer we're looking for, that this person might be the person we're looking for. What answer or what behavior by the other person indicates they're not the person that we're looking for. Thinking skills and things like that, the really, adaptiveness and things like that. Gotta have, the question got to have a way to uncover, got maybe exercises, and then maybe something we do in the second stage. Take them out and, to a banquet and we'll meet new people and see how they interact and the way that they deal with that kind of setting and those kinds of people. So all of those types of things are what we've got to get down in terms of this hiring process. And we want to try to, in each stage, who's going to do the questioning, what kind of questions, some scripted interview type of stuff, and then be clear about, okay, we use this question, for example, bad attitude, good boss, bad boss. What's the best boss you've ever had? Describe the best boss you've ever had. And then describe the worst boss you've ever had. Now, if somebody becomes really animated, their pupils dilate, and they become really animated, and they love talking about the best boss, or it could be, tell me the best job you've ever had. It's the worst job. If somebody's, you're looking at, they haven't had it, they don't have a job. Tell me about your best professor at ETSU. Tell me about your worst professor. Oh, God, definitely that guy, Shemwell. I had to study, and I had to do the projects myself. I couldn't get other people to do them for me, and he gave us stuff to do. It seemed like every few days something was due. They should get rid of that guy. And if they become really animated and excited and pupils dilate and all that, talking about negative stuff, it's a bad sign. That's person is going to have an attitude problem. That apple spoils the old bunch type of bad attitude is going to come out, and they're going to like something they don't like about our products. They're going to spurt that out first. Don't want to hire that person with a bad attitude. So that, have some of those kind of stock things that you ask, and stock, okay, if they do this, be able to explain that to me in your, in the stuff that you do for part one. That's it for part one. Good luck, everybody.